prosperity, fostering real networking and recycling black dollars. It's Wealth Building Wednesdays on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yep, I feel like money. She looks like money. She's the CEO of Pacific Playa Realty, an attorney, former CPA, and a real estate broker. She manages actually the biggest Black-owned real estate brokerage on the West Coast with over $1 billion in closed sales volume. If you don't know what that means, she'll probably tell us in a minute. Terea Mack, welcome.
Good morning. Good morning, Dominique.
It is great to have you here in the studio with me.
It's great to be here.
Yeah, I always say that. I'm always happy when folks come in and I get to meet you instead of just talking on the phone. Of course, we've met before. But we talk a lot about Black wealth and Black business models and how we can have more success. And we'll get into the specifics of your business. But one of the things that you also do, another hat you wear, is helping other entrepreneurs to get their lives together, their visions on point, and stop being so doggone scattered.
That is so true. Then I think the number one barrier to success in entrepreneurship is yourself. We think it's the clients, and we think it's the politics, and we think it's the economics. But at the end of the day, when you're an entrepreneur, the buck stops with you because that's what you wanted. You wanted to be your own boss.
Right. That's what we said we wanted.
We always say everybody wants to be the boss until it's time to cut a check or fire somebody.
Yeah, and I think that once you become a small business owner or you become a big business owner, there's so many things pulling at you. Oh, I got to do marketing. I got to keep my budget together. I have a vision for another business or a spinoff, and it's easy to be scattered.
Yeah, it is. It is, and we have 6 companies now. We've been in business for 15 years.
Wow.
But I am in partnership in some ways. The owner of our company is a kind of a serial entrepreneur. And I'm the person who's more kind of structured. So having more than one person to bounce your ideas off of or to help you grow your business, I think is critical. Even if you are a solo entrepreneur, you may need to have an advisory board, or you may need to collaborate with other entrepreneurs that may have some skills that you lack in order for you to have everything you need, like you said, to be all things at all times.
Yeah. I can't remember what they call it. In some of my self-help books, they talk about having, it's like a personal board of directors.
Yeah.
An accountability board.
Absolutely. We have a very I would call it a sophisticated accountability system within our company. And it starts at the top and it goes all the way down to the first agent we bring in the door. And that helps. It helps us to be a better business. And then we are supporting, over 85 individual entrepreneurs within our brokerage. So it's a business with a bunch of small business or large business agents.
That's amazing. So let's talk about that. I mean, so much conversation around Black wealth and building generational wealth comes down to property and land, right?
100%.
And so what does that mean to be the largest Black-owned real estate brokerage on the West Coast? Why is that important?
I think it's important for a couple of reasons. It's important to be a healthy, successful, vibrant, growing, innovative business, to be both an example to others in the community that it can be done, not without a lot of hard work, sweat, losses, tears, all those things. But nevertheless, I feel like we're a good beacon in the community, and we're heavily involved in the community, not just selling houses or buying houses or making money, which is what most people think about real estate agents.
Right.
We do a lot of community education. We do a lot of door-to-door, hand-to-hand, boots-on-the-ground work here in Los Angeles because we want the community to know we're not just trying to make a buck. We must make a buck to survive as a business, but we also have a corporate culture of service.
So it's almost like a socially innovative model.
I love that. I will steal that. That is exactly what it is. I don't think you see that very often, particularly in our industry, There are certainly individual brokers and agents that care about the community, but Pacific Playa Realty, we always say we're a movement and a business. And I think that's the thing that sets us apart.
And that makes sense, particularly in real estate. I mean, even though it's not widespread, it does make sense because if we don't have that education, we may never be in a position to buy, right?
100%. 100%. And also, real estate, you said it, I'm going to step out on a limb. I think it is the single most important investment that an African American person can make because it has 3 really important characteristics to it. One, it can put a roof over your head. Mm-hmm. And we know in our community, a lot of times the roof that's over our head is a rented roof.
Right.
And that's okay. I've rented. But ultimately to have control and stability and honestly staying power when you get down on your luck, owning your property allows you to do that. Your landlord can get you out faster than your mortgage company can.
Yeah.
Also, it earns money. You have the ability to monetize this asset that's also providing you with shelter. And it appreciates in value. So there's not many things that the average person, and I consider myself to be the average person, can invest in and get all of those things out of it. And I think the idea of accessibility to real estate for not just Black people, but for anybody who's making an average living, it seems so far, it seems unattainable. And that's not true.
It isn't true.
I feel like real estate is extremely attainable even in crazy Los Angeles with our crazy prices. And we have a mortgage company called Inclusive Financial that we created for that very reason because we found that there were, well, I would consider to be high-earning attorneys, doctors, engineers, pilots who were walking into their banks. And the banks were saying, your credit's not good enough, your debt-to-income ratio is too high, you got student loans. Of course, we have all those things and more. And they weren't necessarily willing to do the hard work. Hope I'm not offending any sponsors, but honestly, to do the hard creative work to put the pieces together so that we could get access to capital to purchase real estate. So that's what our mortgage company is about. And our real estate company, Pacific Playa Realty, is about creating confidence in our community to buy real estate, that you can do it. And I start with, young people as young as 15, 16, 17, and all the way up to, our 70, 80, and 90-year-olds. No, our 90-year-olds probably aren't buying, but honestly, I think there's a place for everyone to move into the market at some point in their life.
It's interesting, too, because just the way you put that, this is L.A. There's if you can pay $3,000 and $4,000 a month in rent while juggling your student loan and all the other debt to income, the debt part of that debt to income ratio, then you can pay a mortgage. Yeah. But the formulas don't take into account that almost all of us are burdened with our housing costs.
Yeah.
And almost all of us are juggling a whole bunch of stuff. I was just talking yesterday about how in Orange County now, or soon, within the next couple months, $100,000 will be considered $100,000 a year will be considered low income.
Yeah, it's crazy. I won't get into the whole conversation about incomes differentials between Blacks and the rest of the population, but even with that burden of us often not earning as much as our counterpart who's doing the same thing or less. The thing that we have to remember is to get into real estate, you've got to make an initial sacrifice. And it probably means you're going to live in a neighborhood that's different from what you envisioned for your first home. But that's okay because your first home is not your last home. And you just have to get in the market so that you can get the real estate to start working for you. And I have these conversations with people that make a lot of money. So you make $500,000 a year and you're really a really nice apartment and driving a really nice car and going a lot of really nice vacations. But when you get to be 60, 70 years old and it's time to retire, you probably are not going to have put away enough money to live the life you want to live then. So real estate is a vehicle for now, roof over your head. Maybe you can monetize it, young people. But what I think is most important for when you're later in life, because that's when it's paid off for you and you can cash in and do what you want or live comfortably.
Yeah, we're talking with Teresa Mack. She's the CEO of Pacific Playa Realty. You stay with me for another break here? Absolutely, because I want to get into the specifics of how we would work with Pacific Playa and the work that you're doing. Continue to answer the question. You can still buy in LA if you do blank. That's next on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. If you need help getting your resume in order, finding job training, or landing a job, we've got 3 great options for you. First, the City of Los Angeles has work source centers across the area offering free job support. The California Workforce Development Board can help you with everything from GED prep to vocational training at no cost to you. On the federal level, the Department of Labor's American Job Centers offer a full range of services for job seekers and businesses alike. Visit careeronestop.org, or for more info, just call California's Help Center or visit cwdb.ca.gov or call 916-657-1440. For the City of Los Angeles programs, go to ewd.lacity.gov or call 213-744-7300. All these services are free to help you get your next job. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
You really about to do it?
40 acres and a mule, this is bigger than the music.
You really about to do it?
Yeah, they tried to rig the game, but you can't fake influence.
Who among us doesn't like black music? But Kendrick is right. This moment is so much bigger than music. These are serious times. We've got serious problems, and we need serious people who understand that slogans are not solutions. When you want substantial and sober analysis about things that matter to you and the ones you love, this is where you turn. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black.
The IRS finally caught up with Louie.
I hadn't paid my taxes in 8 years. I owe the IRS a lot of money.
Louie was in deep trouble.
We're going to take your house, put a lien on your bank account, garnish your pay. They don't care. They're going to take your paycheck.
Louie found out about Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima Tax, they help me. They calm me down. They make me feel comfortable, and I trust them.
Louie has a lot to be thankful for.
I don't owe the IRS anymore, and I'm able to live a comfortable life, a lot better life. It was because of Optima Tax.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation. Take it from Louie.
If you owe the IRS, don't go it alone. Give Optima Tax a call. They can help you.
Call 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
It does, and I'm glad you're here. If you got a question or a comment, 800-920-1580 is the place to bring it. Teresa Mack is the CEO of Pacific Playa Realty, attorney and former CPA, real estate broker. She manages the largest black-owned real estate brokerage on the West Coast with over $1 billion in closed sales volume. I mean, I'm assuming that means what has housing that has been...
Cumulative sales, volume, homes we've sold. Homes at our buildings,
Co-creator of the real estate sales curriculum, Propel.
Yes.
Want to talk about that?
Yeah, I would. You know, you ask me about the entrepreneurs that we're building in our brokerage. So part of building an entrepreneur is educating them, supporting them on their sales tactics, and on the management of their flow of income. So Propel is a 12-step program. Not a 12-step program. That's not right.
I was like, it's AA for those of us who don't know how to deal with our money.
It feels like AA for those of us that are trying to be successful real estate agents in LA, but it teaches our agents and brokers how to build their business in a structured way so that they can manage multiple transactions and grow a business big enough to reach their biggest possibilities.
So it's a how-to.
Exactly. It's a great, relevant how-to taught primarily by me and the owner of the brokerage, Munif Ali.
So you would have to actually be a member of the brokerage to have it. But you are part of a book called Your Deck for Success, Your Deck of Success.
Yes.
And so we can get a tiny bit of your curriculum, like
Sure.
Explain, what are you talking about in this book? I guess there's a bunch of different successful entrepreneurs who are featured in this book.
Well, I think there are different types of entrepreneurs and different types of business people and different types of community leaders. It's just a variety of people. My best friend is a publicist, and so she called me and said, "Hey, I think you should write a chapter in this book." And I was like, "What are you talking about, girl? I can barely write a curriculum for training." But she's my best friend, and you know how it is. You trust, trust your best friend. So I did it, and it was it's a collaborative book. So each person wrote one chapter. It's 52 ideas on hacks for success. So you have to read the book to see it. It's on Amazon, so you can check it out. But my tip was consistency and excellence. Those are the two most important things you can do to build success in whatever you do. Because if you do something great one time, it doesn't really matter.
Unless you're at the Olympics that day. But yeah, I get
yes, you're right.
No, it's a really good point. I feel like in LA we get into this mentality that, hook me up, connect me, and we forget about hustle and showing up every day, day in, day out, and getting it done.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit. Dominique DiPrima, who shows up every day, consistently since, as long as I can remember.
Jesus was a child.
But really, you don't show up just once in a while.
Right.
And so you're the best example of that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
We appreciate you.
Molly Bell in the YouTube chat, it's at KBLA 1580 if you want to get in the comment section. She says, the wealth of a nation is in its land. I live in the house our parents purchased in Compton in 1956. My siblings wanted me to sell in 1990. Nope. Father left my name in his will. She's still living in that home.
Awesome. And her father did one of the things that we teach about. We do a whole series on probate and estate planning. I cannot tell you how important it is that her father had a will so that after he was gone, people would know what he wanted them to do with his property is critical. And a will is not enough because a will won't keep you out of probate court.
Yeah.
And probate court, it will decimate 15% at minimum of the wealth that your family accumulated. So we do a lot of work encouraging people to plan their estate. We are all going to die. We are going to have to talk about it. And we lose a lot of our real estate wealth by dying unprepared.
Yeah. Yep. People think that it automatically passes on, or that a will that you wrote on a napkin is enough. It's better than nothing, but it ain't enough.
Correct.
How would they access, like, let's say I want to buy a home, or I want to get some education around my will, my trust.
Yes.
What would I do?
Yes. If you want to know anything about real estate, how to preserve it, how to get it, how to get out of it, how to reposition, anything at all, Pacific Playa Realty is the company. We are on social media. If you Google us, we're going to show up. Teresa Mack, TeresaMack.com. You can go to my website. You can contact me there. My phone number is all over the internet. And you can contact any one of our 85 agents. We like to say we command the L to the L. Lamert to Ladera, but we really sell anywhere. We are licensed in California. We sell in Beverly Hills. We sell in Manhattan Beach. We sell in the South Bay too. But our heartbeat is the L to the L, Lamert to Ladera.
And it's Teresa, TeresaMack.com.
That's
TeresaMack.com if you want to get more info on any of these things. And we were talking during News, Traffic, and Sports about generational home ownership. You took me all the way back to my great grandpa's shack in Hartsville, South Carolina. Why is that important?
Building wealth takes time. In real estate in particular, you're not going to buy a house today and sell it tomorrow in most markets. So what our grandparents did, we don't want to squander that or take it for granted or sell it off or leave it to get dilapidated, because it really is the foundation for us as a community having wealth in America, because that's what America is all about. It's also important to think about what level of real estate wealth do you have? How many generations of real estate wealth do you have? Now, Dominique, you were telling me you have 4, we believe, on one side of the family.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a continuum, though. Like, it's not like it was passed on to me. I bought my own house with my own money. Well, and
yes,
and some
Love
of
to hear
Tupac's
that,
money.
yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I mean, but nevertheless, that tradition is in the family. Somebody sold that shack in Hartsville. My dad owns a home.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
well, he's rest in peace. His wife owns a home
Yeah.
in Newark. That's a family home. But Man Ray makes a point in the chat. If you have a home that's worth $7,000 and you buy it and you sell it, where are you going to go live? If you're in California, they tell me my home is worth all this money, but if I leave it, where am I going to stay?
We encounter that a lot, and maybe you shouldn't leave it. Sometimes selling the property is not the answer. A lot of times I will counsel a person, hey, you can get money out of your property without selling it first. Know that.
Yeah, that's true.
And also, if you're in a home that you can't maintain, it's too big, it doesn't really suit your purpose, you're just in it because it feels comfortable and you can afford it for the moment, you may have to talk strategically with someone like me. I do what's called a real estate review with anyone who wants one. And that's for, if you have real estate, let's look at what you have and how it's going to serve you now and in the future, so you can be strategic about how you deal with it. And if you don't have it and you want to get it, we'll give you a roadmap for how to get there. Or if you're not sure, you're like, I don't know if I want to own real estate or not, I don't know if that's in my future, you can have a real estate review with us, and we will help you figure out the answers to those questions so that you can plan. Real estate takes planning. You got to save. You got to make sure your credit's cleaned up. You've got to have income. There are certain things that have to be in place, but you can do it.
Fahima says 56,000 is the median household income of Black people. I guess she's talking nationwide. I think I don't know what it is in LA, but what she's saying is only people making 500K are lawyers, engineers, etc. Point taken.
Absolutely.
So to my question before, news, traffic, and sports, you can still buy a home in LA or, fill in the blank, San Francisco, New York, if you do what?
So one, you've got to have savings. You've got to have decent credit. That can be in the 6s. It can even be in the high 5s, and you've got to have reserves and income. But I want to just comment quickly on what Fatima said, because she's absolutely right. Everybody's not making $500,000, nor am I. Even if you're making 56, it's about where are you willing to live in order to get started in real estate.
Yeah.
Are you willing to work with another person? We don't like to buy things together, work with family. That's a mistake for us culturally. We've got to learn to work together.
I think that's right. We clown other communities for living a whole bunch of people in one house, and then we get mad when they own stuff and we don't. Hello. Okay, well, we've got a minute and a half here, and I feel like I need to turn the mic over to you. What you want to say about your business, and what you want to let us know about it.
Perfect. I'm going to be quick. We have a real estate brokerage. We have a mortgage company. We have a marketing and media company. We have a construction company, and we have an escrow company. We have everything that you need to get the questions answered you want about real estate. It does not have to be something that is unattainable. So make the call. Reach out to me. You're not going to be pushed or prodded into any one direction, but we're going to give you the information you need to make the best decisions for you and your family now and in the future.
Yep. And somebody says you can't get a house with a FICO score in the 600s, but it sounds like you've helped people do it.
Come talk to Inclusive Financial. One of our loan officers will talk to you about how you can do that.
She can say it because they have their own mortgage company. But congratulations to you on all of the success. TeresaMack.com. It's not that hard. TeresaMack.com. There's no H in this Teresa, and it sounds like really a one-stop location, a Black-owned one-stop location to start building your generational wealth in real estate.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dominique.
Yeah, thanks for coming in. Thanks for sharing. All right. It's the perfect time to call me. We got news, traffic, and sports, and then you on KBLA Talk 1580.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. New Jersey Transit is holding a board meeting today as train engineers threaten to strike. They're advising rail customers to prepare for alternate transportation by Friday.
If the trains aren't running at all, I don't know what I would do.
Now I'm going to have to take an Uber.
I don't know. I got to figure it out.
The union and New Jersey Transit are negotiating wages, and additional buses will cover only 20% of train riders if a strike occurs. President Trump thanked Arab nations for their efforts to end the Israeli-Gaza conflict. Speaking in Saudi Arabia, he said he hopes for a future of safety and dignity for the Palestinian people, but criticized Hamas for blocking progress with attacks on innocent people. And the FDA plans to pull prescription fluorides for children off the market due to claimed risks. Fluoride is used in water systems, toothpaste, and mouth rinses. The FDA will remove drops and tablet supplements for kids at high risk for cavities. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Joe Buck and John Smoltz welcoming you back to the City Center Convenience Mart. Uh-oh. She's looking at the cigarettes, but she just grabs the gum off the counter. Stand Up to Cancer and Rally want you to reduce your risk for cancer. Go to takeahealthystand.org.
Is this the tiger? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
I'm a bad man. 2 elimination games tonight in the NBA playoffs. New York at Boston and Golden State at Minnesota. New York and Minnesota have 3-1 leads in their best-of-7 series. Boston, the number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference, goes home if they lose to New York tonight. The Celtics will be without their best player. Jason Tatum has surgery Monday to repair a ruptured Achilles tendon in his right leg. Major League Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred lifted the lifetime ban on Pete Rose, baseball's all-time hits leader with 4,256. Rose was banned from baseball in 1984 for betting on baseball games as a player and manager. Rose, who died in 2024, is now eligible for the Hall of Fame. If you had a vote, would you vote for Rose to go into the Hall of Fame? Email your thoughts to ray@smileyAudiomedia.com. ray@smileyAudiomedia.com. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio that's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Sometimes an identity threat is a ring of professional hackers. And sometimes it's an overworked accountant who forgot to encrypt their connection while sending bank details.
I need a coffee.
And you need LifeLock, because your info is in endless places. It only takes one mistake to expose you to identity theft. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Why'd I go to the doctor? One day at the firehouse, I was so lightheaded I could barely stand. Even my crew noticed. Getting checked out was the right call. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Thanks for starting your morning off with a voice that speaks truth to power and the powerless, getting to the heart of what matters most in our community. This is where authentic conversation meets real action. From breaking news and politics to culture and community solutions, this is where you hear perspectives you won't hear anywhere else. This is where we come together, get informed, and make change happen. You're inside First Things First with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Good morning, sunshine. You make my day.
The Comedy Connection series featuring KBLA's Zoe Williams, the voice of reason, and the alpha male of comedy, Ray Grady. We're going to transform relationship disasters into stand-up material live at Inglewood's Miracle Theater on May 31st at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. My clinical team will disclose all of your dating woes, while the alpha male of comedy, Ray Grady, has hand-selected supremely talented comedians to roast against all of our tragic relationship choices. I dare you to bring your ex's phone number because Ray, he's going to text it live and the crowd will be sourcing emojis. Tickets are moving swiftly, so don't hesitate to grab yours at themiracleinglewood.com before I diagnose your dating history as a pre-existing condition.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, so don't wait. For this free information, call the Relief Hotline at 800-388-6607, 800-388-6607, 800-388-6607.
Heard any other talk radio lately that sounds anything like this? We didn't think so. You're listening to Unapologetically Progressive, KBLA Talk 1580.
Yeah, I love all the people we meet at Wealth Building Wednesday, all of the opportunities. Imagine, I didn't realize that they had their own mortgage company and you could just have a one-stop spot for black-owned business when it comes to getting a place to live. Man, I wish I would have purchased so long before I did when I first came here, because I had that mindset, oh, I can't afford to buy, I'm just going to rent, and I wasted so much money. So hopefully you won't do the same. It's the perfect time to call me, 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. That's the number if you've got something to say, like Big Phil does. Big Phil from LA, good morning.
Good morning. Double don't sleep. You're right. Follow your first mind. Second mind, I always say, I wish I could have did it. Do it with first mind. Let me tell you one thing. I really feel for your brother. You know, race is alive and well. You know, when you're trying to do good, they come the devil. I'm behind your brother 100%. I hope he win it to the fullest, okay? And I really mean that from the finest of my heart.
Thank you.
And the white lady, remember, she might supposed to be breaking her house, come out with a gun, shot at the police. You remember that? The white lady with the gun? Somebody supposed to rob her, come in her house, and she come out with a gun, she shot at the police. It was all on television.
Oh, you're talking about recently. Yeah. She was.
Yeah.
She's the wife of some rock and roll guy. Yes, I do remember the story.
But if she was hurt in the arm, though, they'd been a sister, you'd have about 50 bullets over you. Okay?
Yeah, she would have been dead for sure. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. It'd have been like Bonnie and Clyde, please. But look, I got to go. I love you, John. You guys take care down at that stage. So much going on in this world. Just be careful, okay? I'm out, Big Phil. Love you.
Okay, love you more. Thank you for calling. Big Phil called 800-920-1580, and you can do the same. Yeah, because Big Phil brings up stories, and I'm reading so many stories every day. White lady with a gun, who knows? But yeah, I know what he was talking about. I was here in L.A. Woman shot at the police and lived to tell the tale, and we always know when that happens that they're not black, or they would be unalived for sure. All right, so Trump in Qatar. I think it's Qatar. Anyway, he he said he's going to lift sanctions on Syria. He is in the Gulf with his first big out of the country trip, and it just so happens to be the very place that's giving him a jet. But this is a big deal because it's the first time in 25 years that the leaders of these two countries have met. Syria and meeting with the president of Syria, Ahmad al-Shara, in Qatar. He's touring the Middle East and somehow not talking about Gaza, but that's very that's so Trump. And so we'll see what comes out of this. They claim that they are going to be making a bunch of deals. And he's saying now that he's made a $200 billion Boeing deal that Qatar will purchase 160 jets from the United States from Boeing. So give him a jet, buy some jets. I can't wait to read the fine print on this because I know there is definitely more than meets the eye here. The Trump administration is now saying they're going to develop something called a universal flu vaccine. That's been kind of a goal for scientists for a long time, where they could have one kind of one-size-fits-all flu vaccine. And now the Trump administration is launching one called Generation Gold Standard to create a flu shot that can last year after year after year. But it's caught scientists off guard because here you have an administration that's the Health and Human Services Secretary, RFK Jr., is an anti-vaxxer, and they have made that kind of anti-vax, anti-Fauci, anti-mask vibe a cornerstone of their talking points. And now they're saying they want to invest in flu vaccines. We're talking about an administration which has literally laid off dozens of scientists who are researching Alzheimer's disease cures and childhood cancer cures and sexually transmitted diseases. They're laying these folks off in mass. But now they are claiming they are going to have the Generation Gold Standard flu shot. It's very puzzling. And I would say, and I'm speculating right now, but speculating based on decades of reading the news, that there is a money factor here. Follow the money. They call it the gold standard. It's probably secretly named the Trump flu vaccine. I'm quite sure that there's a money factor. We'll see. I'll find it. I'll share it. A judge in LA has resentenced the Menendez brothers, so they're now eligible for parole. They could actually go home. They've been in prison since they were sentenced to life without parole in 1996. They admitted to the killings. They said they did it because they were scared that their parents were going to kill them and that they'd been abused for so many years. Now they're eligible for parole. It's a long shot, I would say. A very long shot, but it could happen. But a judge has now made that possible. So we'll be tracking that and see what it really comes down to as far as, probably going to be spending the rest of their lives in jail, in prison, I should say, no matter how that goes. The story that I haven't had a chance to get to, but which I've been wanting to talk about because I think it resonates with a lot of the other things we're talking about right now, and because I think it is indicative of what's happening on college campuses and inside of these corporations, right? So NYU said that the law school there are 31 students of the law school, the NYU School of Law. We're talking about an exclusive institution. Not just anybody can go there. It's expensive. It's hard to get into. You have to have a great GPA. Well, they have designated 31 students as persona non grata, meaning they can't take their finals. They can't even come on campus unless and it's because they've protested against the war in Gaza. Unless they renounce those protests, unless they say, I'll never do it again and I did the wrong thing, they won't be allowed to take their final exams. So it basically means you've gone to school, you've paid for school. NYU is so expensive. That was the school I wanted to go to. No way could we afford that. That just wasn't even on the table. So that means they paid their bills, they paid their tuition, they've gone to school, they've succeeded to the point of being able to take final exams, and now they will be barred, denied their own education because of their political beliefs. Because they participated in nonviolent sit-ins and demonstrations, which are allowed according to the university's policies and guidelines. This happened in April and in March in the library, and they are now barred from campus. And unless they renounce what they were protesting for, they can't take their finals. That's crazy. I mean, that is basically, we're saying we're going to take your money that you've invested in your education, take away your education, unless we can control your political beliefs and your right to protest. It doesn't sound like America, at least not the America that we say we are. And it reminds me of the young woman, Angel Marie Taylor, that we talked to recently from a university here in California. It's these, what they call time, place, and manner restrictions. And the university says protest activity, while permitted, is subject to time, place, and manner restrictions. So that means it's not permitted, because we can tell you the time, the place, and the manner. They're claiming the students are not prohibited from taking their final exams, except that they can't come on campus and take their final exams, or go to the health clinic, or anything else that they've paid for. I'm saying this because I'm hoping that the more we talk about these things, the more people will push back. Inside and outside campuses, lawmakers, students, parents, teachers, faculty, administrators, because this sounds like totalitarianism. It doesn't sound like freedom of speech. It doesn't sound like freedom of assembly. It does not sound like a democratic republic. And given these guidelines, I would have never been able to take my final exams. We sat in, we protested, we hollered, we fought. Apartheid, the irony now, decades later, watching Afrikaners being welcomed in as refugees while actual people fleeing violence and repression are turned away. This is America. 800-920-1580, but still I rise. And I still believe we win. I still believe we win as long as we don't give up. I'm Dominique DiPrima for KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
Founded in Los Angeles in 1986, litigation powerhouse Quinn Emanuel has deep roots in the Los Angeles community. Since 2007, we have litigated some of the largest fires on the West Coast. We are proud to be the only AmLaw 100 firm in the country to represent wildfire victims, giving affected individuals, families, and businesses the same focus and individualized attention we devote to our Fortune 500 clients. BTI Consulting has repeatedly recognized Quinn Emanuel as among the 4 law firms in-house counsel least like to oppose in any litigation, and we are often deemed the most feared. And after securing over $80 billion for our clients in various matters firm-wide, we understand why. If you have been affected by the recent wildfires in Altadena and the Palisades and would like to discuss your situation further, please contact wildfire support at QuinnEmanuel.com or call us at 213-443-3050. Quinn Emanuel is proud to sponsor Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
Imagine every pregnant person in LA County having the support they deserve. A doula on every block. Doulas provide emotional, physical, and informational support during pregnancy, through labor, and beyond. Medi-Cal now covers doula care. That means you can get the support you need or train to support families in your community. The LA County Medi-Cal Doula Hub is here to help. Learn more and get started today at ladoulahub.com.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, aka the Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate loses and love wins.
And I must admit, I am not watching the Diddy trial with bated breath. I'm not going to say I don't care. I don't really care to hear the sordid details of everybody's sex life and their practices. I know that Cassie Ventura has been on the stand, that she's been talking about, she's been talking about physical and sexual abuse. That's obviously his ex-girlfriend, Sean Combs, Diddy's ex-girlfriend, and she's a key witness. It's a federal sex trafficking and racketeering trial. It's happening now. I thought it might get delayed or, off track altogether because one of the star witnesses of the prosecution could not be found. But Cassie is on the stand. She is, this is in New York City. She's testifying again today. She's 8.5 months pregnant. That seems very stressful, but she'll do her second day of testimony today, talking about that surveillance tape from the hotel that we all saw, or most of us saw. She's describing it. They also saw, the jury also saw pictures of her, photos of her with a black eye and a swollen lip after that hotel encounter. And she's talked about how Diddy controlled her life, every single part of her life, and it sounded not fun and violent. And again, I'm reading an article here or there. I'm not watching it. I'm not watching every detail. But it's really odd to me, and I guess I need to talk to a lawyer. Maybe I can get Attorney Dion Raymond on or somebody to explain to me, because I don't understand why they didn't bring domestic violence charges. This is all a racketeering. This is a RICO case. So the defense will say it's terrible that he was mean to her, or it's terrible that he beat her, but that's not what he's on trial for. And the defense is apparently also kind of trying to make it look like Cassie wanted the freaky things that happened at the freak-offs. And, I guess one of the reasons that I brought it up is because I remember the conversation we had with Dr. Gail Wyatt when these allegations against Diddy first came, and the feds first raided his spot, is that it's not against the law to be freaky. Baby oil is not against the law. A freak-off between consenting adults, I didn't even know that was a term, but apparently now it is not illegal. It's not against the law to be gay or to use baby oil or even to have rough sex or violent sex. None of that is illegal. What's illegal is doing it without people's consent, selling people and trafficking them. That is illegal. She testified that she felt horrible and humiliated, and that she was in love with Diddy and felt obligated because she didn't want to make him angry. She wanted to make him happy. She didn't know where a no would go if she made the wrong facial expression or said the wrong thing, that she would be beat down. And I think it's important for us as people who are not in these type of situations to remember, you don't know. If you haven't lived it, you don't know. Because just like with the Cosby and R. Kelly cases, people say, why did the victims wait so long to come forward? You don't know. There's control, there's humiliation, there's shame. Sometimes people are afraid that they won't survive or that there'll be retaliation. Maybe she believed the rumors that Kim Porter's death was. You don't know. Maybe she didn't think she could survive on her own. I mean, people will attribute this to, well, she was a gold digger. She wanted a career. She was with him for what he could give her. That could be true or not true. We don't know. But what for sure we don't understand is the mentality of a victim and what mindset you're in. That person may have been a master manipulator. We don't know. And when people said to me that Bill Cosby was set up because he tried to buy NBC, and that's why all these women came forward, or that Diddy went against Diageo, which I didn't realize was such a huge liquor company. They literally own everything. That when he defied them, he set himself up. What I'm going to say to you is that both could be true. He could have been trafficking people. He could have been beating the living daylights out of Cassie and be targeted by Diageo, which owns Johnny Walker, Bailey's, Don Julio, Captain Mark, Morgan, Smirnoff, Tanqueray, Casamigos, Buchanan's. I mean, they own, obviously, Ciroc. On and on it goes, right? It could be true that Diddy is subject to retaliation because of taking on this massive brand, taking on this corporate behemoth, and he could also be guilty of domestic violence. Those could both be true. Cosby could have been targeted because he wanted to buy NBC, and he could have been drugging women and having non-consensual sex. Yeah. I don't want you to think that I'm not paying attention or I don't care. It's just that I'm not going to sit here and recap all of the sexual practices that are being recapped. Suffice it to say, if it was done and it wasn't consensual, then it's problematic. If he was trafficking people for sex, he'll be convicted. But what he won't be convicted of is being a freak, because that's not against the law. Nor should it be. As long as it's consensual and no one's getting hurt, do you, right? That's what I believe. Donald Trump taking time out of his trip to defend himself about the luxury jet that, and that's because Ben Shapiro and all these right-wingers are now saying it's a bribe, and his soldiers, his mis and disinformation soldiers, are critiquing him, calling it a bribe. He says that it's a temporary replacement for Air Force One. It's a gift to the United States. It's not a gift to him personally, even though he can use it after his presidency, and it's actually been given to the Presidential Library of Donald Trump, which is not controlled by the government, and it was not given to the Defense Department. That's what they're saying. It is a lie. He says, why should our military and our taxpayers be forced to pay hundreds of millions of dollars when they can get it for free from a country that wants to reward us for a job well done? Somebody wants to give you $400 million and they don't want anything in return. And this is, of course, after he spent his whole day being wined and dined and pomped and circumstanced by the government of Saudi Arabia. But again, let's follow the money. That money goes to him to have a palace in the sky during his presidency, and then he gets to keep it if he ever steps down. If, I say if, not when, because they are already selling Trump 2028 hats. And that, my friends, is a massive bribe, a massive conflict of interest. Your new puppet masters, the Qatari government, will clearly have a competitive advantage when it comes to getting in the president's ear. Not to mention, who knows, they may literally be in the president's ear. Looking forward to the conversation next hour as we get an update on the calls to actions in the case of Mumia Abu Jamal. His son joins me next on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. New Jersey Transit is holding a board meeting today as train engineers threaten to strike. They're advising rail customers to prepare for alternate transportation by Friday.
If the trains aren't running at all, I don't know what I would do.
Now I'm going to have to take an Uber.
I don't know. I got to figure it out.
The union and New Jersey Transit are negotiating wages, and additional buses will cover only 20% of train riders if a strike occurs. President Trump thanked Arab nations for their efforts to end the Israeli-Gaza conflict. Speaking in Saudi Arabia, he said he hopes for a future of safety and dignity for the Palestinian people, but criticized Hamas for blocking progress with attacks on innocent people. And the FDA plans to pull prescription tablet supplements for kids at high risk for cavities. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeart.